SOMA fans. So, by request, I'm going to do this video. This isn't an all singing, all dancing video, but it'll give people a bit of a starter on what to do with the characters. Because at the moment, the most common question I get in game is, what build should I do? What should I level on? What's a good stats nowadays? What's a good build nowadays? So this isn't the be all and end all of builds, but this is my 2 cents on builds, and these are the two builds that I think are doing really well at the moment, and I think will do really well in the future. And I'm going to give you a step by step, not too much in depth guide of what to do, but you'll get the idea, and you should be fine. Once you get in game with this one. So step one, I'm going to start up here. So doing con on bugs. So when you make a character, you should probably put all your stats into. I'll probably put them all into Dex, I would say at the moment, and then because the con doesn't take any XP anymore, I'm pretty sure. I think they changed it, so you can basically do it at any level. But I would do it early on. I would do it straight away as soon as you log in. Just start hitting bugs. And to be honest with you, if somebody's tanking a bug, and if you ask, can I hit the bug, you can stay on that bug for hours. So you can just keep looking at your PC and make sure you're hitting the bug, and just do it, at your own leisure. But the thing is, if you get 30 con at the beginning, when you start to level up, you're gonna have a lot more HP and MP, and that'll make everything a lot easier. So I'd highly recommend just hitting 30 con off the bat. Healing guy, this is what a lot of people do, mainly on their second characters, but you can do this at any point really with your healing. So this is what you would do. You need to have 3 characters, and you need to be able to log 3 screens at a time. If you don't know how to log multiple screens, on my YouTube channel there's another video on how to do multiple screen logs. You need to create one noob. Just create any noob, doesn't matter what stats or anything, but just go and hit anything with an axe until you've got around 60 strength. This is what I did. And then you need to create another noob and just go and hit anything with bow until you've got around 40 dex, something like that. I think I've actually got about 30 odd. You don't need a lot, just so you can hit the axe guy, because he'll have low dex anyway. And then obviously you need your character that you're healing on. So what you do, you make sure you're all in the same guild, and you make sure that you are all above level 15, I think it'll be, because you need the PK mode on. You set the tank up in somewhere inside a hut or inside a house in town. You get the dex noob hitting the tank. So you got the tank stood there. Also with the tank, a bit of a tip on the tank: hold an axe, stay in action mode, as it were. Hold right click on the aura and then tab that character out. Because I think if you tab the aura, if you have the aura casting, it stops it DC. And I think if you stand there without doing anything, it does DC after a while. You get the guy who's got the dex character, so the noob bow, just punching the tank character. So no weapon or anything. You don't need any items for this. Just punching him, so obviously it's draining his HP. And then your healer, right click on him and make sure you're healing. And again, I know it's against the rules to AFK heal, but if you look around too, I see a lot of people are doing it. I'll leave that down to you, but it's pretty simple if you do that. You just need to make sure that you're not DCing on any of the characters. Healing takes around 6 to 9 months, from which I've found. I've only ever healed one character to 100 int. I've done a few to 60 odd. 60 odd's pretty quick, to be fair. You can hit 60 relatively quick. You'll do that in a few weeks. 6 to 9 months for a full one. So if it's your second character and you've got all the time in the world, maybe that's an option. But you can keep coming back to this as well. So you can do this throughout your leveling. So you've got the option to heal up to 100. It saves you a bit of stats at the end. I think somebody said it maybe save you 1.0 of the end stats at cap at 120, something like that. So it's a long road. If it's your first character, I wouldn't recommend doing this. You can maybe heal a little bit if you've got a bit of time, maybe to 30, 40, 50 in, something like that. Just gives you a bit of a boost. It's quite nice to kind of have free stats. So this is how we're going to level a mage, and this is how we're going to level a melee. So I'm actually going to come back to these in a second, because the two things I want to look at are the two good builds that I would recommend people having nowadays. One of them is a mage / tank build, and you can kind of triple roll this character as well. So the level 120 stats would be this would be around, depending on how you level, depending on how much you've healed, depending on how much you've followed this kind of plus 50 stat guide, around 200 strength, around 230 int, which I think is a cap int, and around 85 dex ish, give or take a few. But basically you'd have cap int, decent strength, and no dex. Thing is, the reason having no dex is, if you're PvPing or anything like that, it doesn't matter if you've got 85 dex or 120 dex, you're still going to get hit 100% of the time pretty much by any archer. So it's kind of irrelevant having more dex. It's not going to save you in the long run, but having more strength will. So that's why I would do this guide. With this, you could do 3 different builds. You could do a proc mage, which is still very good for this. So you could go full proc, and you'd have good survivability with the strength. You'd do insane damage because you got capped int, and you'd be procking. So that's one build you could do. And proc's relatively cheap nowadays. You can gear yourself out in decent proc. You probably get 40% proc for almost next to nothing nowadays as well. You could do a pure MA build, so you could wear like the mage hero armor. You could wear MA rings and the necro stud and what's the other one called, the Valkyrie earring and all that stuff, and be basically pure MA build. So which is really good for bosses. It's very good for PvP as well. Very good against devils. But you would be, obviously quite squashy. Same with the proc because you haven't got a lot of defense compared to the melee characters. But you'd still be survivable. You'd have to feather a lot, but you would do very good damage as well. Third one would be a tank build, so you can dual roll this. So you could wear kind of strength gear and fort plate gear, and you could have zombie as well if you're a black mage because you've got the high enough int, and you could have stone obviously because you're going to have the axe with the strength, and you can go around and stone people and be very very good at surviving. So characters like when I use Cupid, and normally I'll put my tank gear on Cupid and play that. So you're very hard to kill. You're not going to deal any damage out. You're basically a support character, but it's great for War of the Worlds. It's great for Guild Village War. It's great for PvP. So you could use both as well. So this is a really nice guide at the moment. I think that the combination of prop mage and tank gear is very good for a character. You can have a lot of fun on that. The guide would be this. I would probably do pure axe 171 first, just because it gets you some good loot. It's relatively easy to do, especially if you can borrow some dex gear off people. It just makes it a little bit easier to actually hit the mobs. Hitting the mobs is the hardest thing because you're gonna have a low dex. It's quite a difficult thing to level in a way. Easy but difficult because you're gonna use a lot of pots if you haven't got the gear. But it's pretty straightforward. Just hit anything with the axe from this list, which I'll come back to in a minute. Then I will go pure int to cap. You can do pure int first, but it means you'd have no strength. You get killed a lot. Mix of these, it doesn't really matter what you do. You can't mess up your character per level by doing int and strength like you could on SOMA. So it doesn't matter what you do. You could do a half a level strength, half a level of int. Completely irrelevant. You'll still get the same MP and strength gains by the end of the cap. So this is what I would do anyway. This is what we're doing at the moment. So we do pure strength to 171, which is basically the end of Beastful Guardians, which is the easy stuff. Then we're going to do pure int to 230, which is a cap, and then whatever percent's left, I'm going to do strength. So basically, I'm making sure that I'm capping int, and whatever I've left, I'm going to put on strength. So that's one way to do it. And then this you'll end up with this, and it's pretty straightforward. So as for strength, this is the plus 30 stats guide. So this is what you'll get the best stats of. You need a tank basically for this, or someone helping you out. If anyone's unsure or they can't do this, you can follow a similar guide and just try and hit these mobs as soon as you can. Basically, in a nutshell, you can search the monsters on the forum, on the website. You can type in whatever monster you want to kill. So type in anything in the game. It'll tell you the strength gains. You need to be as close to plus 30 strength to that mob as possible. You'll get more stats for it. So this is a really good route to go down. The closer that strength is to you, the less stats you're going to get. It's not the end of the world if you don't do this, but you'll definitely get better stats. So it's basically you follow this. So Sand Valkyries to 80 to 41. Basically any monsters that you've got that's got 30 more strength, and this is the easiest way to do it. So Palos are 58, Devilfish is 62, Cyclone 69, Horde of Shanice 83, and then you go back and forth between these because you get a 2.0 stat bonus per kill. So this is why you go back to Horde of Shanice. So BLG to 90, back to Horde of Shanice because you'll kill more per kind of level basically, so you get more strength or more whatever stats you're doing. Then BLG Horde BLG to 171. So after 171 strength, you need to come away from BLG. Enraged Boars 171 strength to 201 strength, and then Hellish Trolls 201. I think 238 is a cap. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 238. If not, it's 230 something. So that's how you would do that character, and I think this is a great build. This is one that I'm working on at the moment, and yeah, it's a very high damage. You get a bit of, you can do mix of proc and MA as well, which is quite nice. You do very high damage, and you can also tank the stone as well, and tank devils with good gear on. So that's a good mage build to do. And obviously, for leveling the int on mages, you've got this as well. So obviously, this stuff here, feel free to pause the video and just take notes of this, or take a photo, or whatever's easiest for you. Again, same principles. You want plus 30 int more than the mob. So Lich Lord would be a good one to start on at until 63 int. Then Prismatic Shadows until 107 int. Then Nightmares until 176. Then Valkyrie 176 to 200. Necrowarrior 200 to 230. So pretty straightforward on that one. Again, if you can't kill kind of Lich Lords at first, if you haven't got enough, if you haven't got any on tanking for you can just go and kill pretty much anything like Gazers and Druids. It'd be fine to start this one. Yeah, so that's kind of the mage leveling guide. The other very good build at the moment, I think, is a melee DPS build. So archers or melee weapon, so any type of melee weapon works really well with this build, especially the neg weapons because it's such high damage. Give or take, depending on what you do with your int and how much you've healed, you're going to end up with this type of statistics. So it'll be around 170 to 180 dex, around 210 to 220 strength, and around 100 to 120 int. Thing is with the int, you can either heal to 100 int or follow this guide to 100. But if you get 120, you can get zombie, which is really good for PvP. And it's a very good spell to get. I've got it on sub, and it's got many kills, as in the past in PvP and in World of Wars and all that stuff. So it's a good, fun kind of spell to have for PvP. I would probably recommend more dex and less strength because the damage on the weapons are so high. So I know that some people have around 180 dex and around 210 strength. That's a really good kind of build to go for, I think, nowadays. But again, if you want a bit more strength and you want a bit more defense and you want a bit more attack, that's fine. But something around here, it'd be good. And again, around 100 to 120. You can get to 95 int. In fact, I might even just change that to 95 and think around 95 int to 120. 95 int hardly takes up any experience as well. It's really easy to get, so you'll have some at the end of it, and then it just gives you a bit of a boost against bosses and things like that. So this is how you would level this. So you would do pure bow to 151 strength. So it's really simple, and it's actually this is the easiest character to level. So you'd follow this. You need a tank for this first bit, but once you kind of hit Hordishanis, you're okay. You don't need a tank anymore. You follow just doing pure bow, so you're basically doing dex all the way to 151 strength. Well, you'll have something around maybe 155, 160 dex by the end of that. Then you're going to switch to axe until the end of BLG, so 171 strength, just because the dex is so slow. Then you need to switch to a bit of strength. So by this point, you've got 171 strength, probably around 160 odd 5 dex, something like that. Again, I've not done this build just yet to that high dex, but it's something around that. So you got a choice then. So you can either do a bit more dex, which most people do, but making sure you're ending around 180, 210 strength. So you might need to do a little bit more axe. You need to kind of work out as you're going along. Okay, how much int have I done? How much percent have I got left? But if you do this all the way up to the 171 strength, you're in a really good place. That's basically the maximum stats you can gain for that one. If you've healed to 100 int as well, then these are the really kind of perfect characters that are being rolled out at the moment. So again, at any point you can do the int, any point you can heal, and any point you can just manually do the int. So it's up to you how you do it. But finishing off with this, it doesn't matter what weapon you have, if it's bow or axe or knuckle, whatever, you're going to do very high damage. You've got great dex, so you've got a good hit rate. You've got a really good, damage with your strength. And again, your int, it's there just for a little bit of survivability, but you've also, if you want to do the zombie, you've got that. So if you had maybe a combination of axe and bow, or axe and sword, or axe and knuckle, you've got, a good weapon for PvP. The axe, the fifth stone, is by far the best thing in PvP. You could have a zombie spell, which is really good. Then you've also got a second weapon, which would be a DPS weapon. So sword or knuckle or spear or anything, doesn't really matter. They're all good at the moment. So you could do a really good DPS for that one for either bosses, or if you've stoned a character and you want to hit them with your second weapon, you can simply switch as well. But these two builds are very, very good at the moment. I think these are the two best builds. I'm not a fan of Dex Mages. I think that the damage is too low. And if you go too high on the strength, you can't get enough dex, which is a bit of a mistake I made on sub. Sub has 230 strength, but he only has 152 dex. So I have to wear a lot of accuracy to really hit people and hit bosses. So I next time I'm going to do a little bit more dex. I'm not going to do any strength. So this is hopefully a guide just to kind of get you going. So follow this path for the mobs if you can. If you can't, just try and go as close to plus 30 into strength over the mob as much as possible. You will need a tank for these first few, though. This is what I'm saying. Until Hoarder and probably until Priz, you're going to need a tank. So just do the best you can with that one. But I hope that helps. PM me at Sub-Zero in game, so it's spelled like this. So PM me, that is me in game. Only I play that character. Only I will ever play that character. So it's only me on that character as of a few weeks ago. So yeah, if you need any help or advice, just let me know. But I hope this helps, Soma fans, and I'll see you in game.